Okay, now for the bad news. The bad news is Branson Hickman went down with an ankle injury, and it looks like he's going to be okay, walked off under his own power. And that's great because when he was starting at SMU, they really limited the number of people that could get to Preston Stone and Kevin Jennings. I'm talking about 16 sacks allowed on that SMU team in 2023, 14 games before transferring to Oklahoma. He was second team all AAC, and had played in 37 games. It was really going to solidify what we thought was going to be a shaky offensive line to start. And to go down against Temple, probably best case scenario, short of Maine. It's the weakest team on the schedule. Also, there's nothing wrong with getting an offensive lineman more snaps in live action against real opponents in a stadium that has got 84,000 screaming Sooners going nuts anytime you want to do something with the football. I really like where we're at from an offensive standpoint, even knowing that there's still a lot of room for growth with the offensive line. The really bad news is Jalil Farooq going down with what is going to be a 6 to 8 week injury. So that means we're not going to see Jalil Farooq back at best until November. And that is a guy that has played a lot of football for Oklahoma. 34 games, 23 starts, 86 catches, and 1,200 yards, 7 TDs. This is a dude that came in with Caleb Williams at Oklahoma and really stood apart because he decided that he was going to stay at Oklahoma when Caleb Williams decided to join Mario Williams and Lincoln Riley and Dennis Simmons and Roy Manning and Benny Wiley and the whole deal with going to USC and trying to do something over there. And it is a man that has really become beloved by Oklahoma fans, if for no other reason than that. Stayed through when Brent Venables got the job, saw the 6-7 turnaround to a 10-win season last year, and we expected him along with Brennan Thompson and Deion Burks to really form a deep wide receiver room. But now you've lost Jaden Gibson, you've lost Jalil Farooq. There are other guys, like Jaquez Petaway is a dude that comes to mind that can fill this void for you, and Oklahoma's got a deep wide receiver room. You saw what Deion Burks was capable of doing against Temple earlier tonight, but I think what had to happen was we needed to see Brennan Thompson make this step. We needed to see Deion Burks be who we've known Deion Burks to be for the whole way. And then Andrew Anthony coming back after blowing out his ACL last year. I think that's going to help Oklahoma as well. I'm glad that we also get the DeMarco Murray suspension behind us, even as Taylor Tatum played really well. Gavin Sawchuk played okay. It's going to be nice to have the running backs coach back on the sidelines, and I don't mind telling you, DeMarco Murray provides an energy for that room and an energy for this offense that is really sorely missed when you're going to play big games. I'm also thinking about the utility that Jalil Farooq showed when he was able to run the ball as well. Like, you can run your jet sweeps, you can run your jet motions. Again, Oklahoma has guys that can do this, but these injuries tend to mount up as you go on through the season, and they really become the difference between winning and losing late when you got to have depth, when you have to have it figured out. I hesitate to say that these are going to be big overarching themes that we're going to keep coming back to, but knowing that you're already having to fill a void on that offensive line, knowing already that a broken foot for a wide receiver in game one is out 6 to 8 weeks, knowing that Jackson Arnold threw the ball well, right? 141 yards, really efficient day. And knowing that he's going to take off and run with the ball. Like, even late in the second half, he's still running read option and zone option. I'm thinking to myself, do we really want to be doing this with the quarterback this early in the year? I'm glad to see Michael Hawkins got some game. Like, may need him sooner rather than later. That depth chart starts to thin. And as that depth chart starts to thin, you start to look around and go, okay, when you got to play LSU to finish the season, when you got to play Missouri late in the season, you're getting Ole Miss, you're getting Auburn, Tennessee up front. There's a South Carolina team that ain't simple. These are things that you really have to budget for, and you're not going to be able to run people as often as you want to do. You're going to have to be very careful in practice, and you're going to have to load up on certain games. You're going to have to load up for Tennessee. You're going to have to load up for Texas. I mean, there's 6 ranked opponents on Oklahoma's schedule right now. It's not ideal, but again, 1-0 is 1-0, and this is why you recruit the way that you recruit. And once again, the defense standing up the way it did against Temple just makes you feel good because a great defense can cover a lot of your offensive deficiencies. Just ask Iowa, who ain't had no offense to speak of for 2 years and has yet been a really good football team the last couple of years because they've had an elite defense. Oklahoma has shown its front seven can go. It's got a back end that can go. We know what Billy Bowman was capable of. We saw Kendall Dolby getting after it today. You know what Peyton Bowman can add. You know what you got in Jarrett Kennick and Danny Stutzman. And then that defensive line, when you're able to start a guy like Jaden Jackson because he's so talented, and then bring David Stone in off the bench, you're going to feel good about these things, right? I tend to lean in that direction as well. Injuries cannot be helped, but you have more of them than you want, and all of a sudden you're up against it, and you're trying to figure out what's next. I think what's next for Oklahoma is getting healthy. Take a look around. Take stock of what you were able to do and do well. Figure out what was going on third downs. Why are you 0 for 11 up until late in the game when you go score 50 and it's garbage time and it's over against Temple? That's got to get fixed. You got to figure that part out. I realize that we're nitpicking at this point because 6 turnovers from the defense, 6 sacks from the defense. RJ, are we really going to get that upset about third down? Yeah, we are. We're going to get upset about third down. You have to convert third downs, and you got to stop people on third down. That's just what it is. And when Temple is converting more third downs than you are, and you're running more plays than Temple, 65 to 55, you got a problem that needs to get sorted. And I think that's Luttrell in the film room figuring out what he was calling, why he was calling it, who the matchups were, and what they were deciding to do with the football. Because not everybody's going to give you 6 takeaways. That's just not what it's going to work. It's going to look good in the stat column because Oklahoma's already going to go in and probably end the season high on takeaways, right? Hopefully high on turnover margin, as they didn't give the ball away at all tonight either. But these are the things that separate championship teams from non-championship teams, and we know this at Oklahoma because as much as we want to talk about it, we do. Won 14 Big 12 championships. Nobody else has won more than 4. When's the last time Oklahoma won a Big 12 championship, right? Won 10 games last year, didn't win the Big 12 championship. Beat a team that made the college football playoff, didn't win a championship. Beating Texas is important every single year, but beating Texas usually meant that we were going to run away with the Big 12 championship as well, and it didn't mean that last year. In the SEC, there's at least 6 teams that feel like they are capable of winning the Big 12 championship, and SEC media voters don't believe that Oklahoma's any good. They believe that Oklahoma's going to finish in the middle of the pack. There's a lot to show here. There's a lot to prove. So you got to batten down the hatches, and you got to get back after it. You got to make it happen. Like I realize that I'm coming on strong, and I feel like I'm turning the screws on this program, but that's because it's mine, right? It's because it's yours. It's what we expect. There's only one Oklahoma. That means 1-0 every week, right? I realize that there are a lot of folks that don't believe that Oklahoma can do this, and I say until they lose a game, they're undefeated, right? That's the mantra. That's the mentality. That's what you have to walk in with. You have to walk in knowing. One of the ways you do that is by being healthy, knowing that the guy behind you is just as good as the guy in front of you, if not better on a given day. It just didn't work out that way. These are the things that I'm looking for from Oklahoma, right? Do you fix these deficiencies? Can you get on? Can you stay on the field on third down? Can you stop other people on third down? Can you finish? I don't like that Oklahoma allowed those 3 points from Temple because I think you should have been able to pitch a shutout. Arkansas pitched a shutout against UAPB. You know, and it's like, RJ, UAPB, that's an FCS program. I don't care. Temple's Temple. Oklahoma's Oklahoma. There are levels to this. Act like it. You have to finish. You have to get this done. You have to show up with an earnest need to win. To win. To win. Not to be on the field. Not to survive. You have to win, especially this early in the season. It has to